Hi guys, this is Dr. Victoria Scarbo speaking to you from the Caesar Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And it's a hot Sunday afternoon. Muggy. The weather people here are talking about maybe another heat wave this week. Ooh, that'll be 3. They're so excited. So excited about the prospect of another heat wave. But, you know, it is what it is. The climate is as it is, and we have to adapt to it. And I'm a firm believer in, on a certain level, to experience the consequences of one's actions. And so a lot of people are like, oh, you don't have AC. Oh my God, how can you not have AC? I'm healthy. I don't have any breathing issues per se, and so I feel as though it's not necessary. You know, sometimes when I work, if I'm working on patients and clients, sometimes for their comfort and for mine, I'll put the AC on. I do have one in my office, but I think that we need to be aware of what we're doing to the planet. And I'm not really into suffering, but sometimes a little suffering is good for the soul. And I do suffer in the heat, so maybe too many years being Catholic, I feel like I need to atone for something. So I want to do a read on Russia. I don't generally read Russia, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. And of course, if you look at the media in the United States, they're still, you know, screaming about Russia's interference, and I take Russia's interference seriously. I don't want people to think I don't. There is, you know, we have also interfered in other people's elections, most notably in South America, historically in Iran. So we're not innocent of that as a country ourselves. And so I do think we need to work to making elections better, safer, something that can be less open to interference from other countries. And I know that Tulsi Gabbard has a bill there to make the elections safer. And so, you know, paper ballots and all this other stuff, which, you know, sometimes old school is the best school, right? So there are ways, and I think that we need to look into that. Of course, this administration and the Republicans aren't really interested in that. And I did hear somewhere that, was it Ivanka who invested in a company that does the voting machines? So that, you know, that makes me feel uncomfortable. But this reading isn't about this. This reading is about what's going on in Russia. And there's a lot of tumult there. And as evil as we think Vladimir Putin is, he is not invincible. And he is, I believe, feeling the effects of what's going on in his country. And we had the nuclear explosion that occurred, and I apologize for not knowing where it happened, but it did happen by the sea. So is it up by Norway? I'm not sure. Of course, you'll let me know. I should have looked that up, really. And then we also have the demonstrations in Moscow. And you know, Russia is really an oligarchy, and they would like the whole world to be an oligarchy. So only a few number of very rich people get to decide, you know, what's going on with the planet. But That is not the future, right? Pluto in Capricorn is exposing the oligarchy or the plutocracy, and it is up to us as the people to not get divided um, through their schemes and stand up for ourselves and stand up for our planet. The meek shall inherit the earth, but what's the point of inheriting an earth that we can't live on, right? Okay, so let's see what's going on in Russia. There's a little pontificating. Apologize for that, or hope you enjoyed it. Depends on your point of view, doesn't it? Okay, let's see the immediate environment. Okay, we have the King of Pentacles, and so we have somebody in charge, somebody with a lot of money. This is the oligarchy, and it is not necessarily Putin, although he can be seen as this. There's something about Russia and even the Russian names numerologically have a lot of 4s and 8s in them, um, and less 5s. So it's less about freedom and more about that, like it's resources, it's money, it's control, it's management of people, and it's crisis. So their energy is very different, and they have lived a very, historically, very hand to mouth. There's been a lot of, you know, um, not having the resources to take care of yourself or the people, and then trying to create, um, the Soviet Union, trying to even things out. But of course, that didn't work because there was so much criminal element. And then once the Soviet Union collapsed, um, we, as a country in America, did not support them in the way that would have helped them build a democracy. And so they have sort of a black market economy over there. And that black market economy is, sort of rising up to be seen and to be dealt with. And it's happening in this country as well. So, it's just part of our awareness and our evolution around issues of ownership and such. So, all right, let's see what's crossing this. And we have the Queen of Wands. Well, that's very interesting. First thing I thought of was, what was the name of that group? The Pussy something? So we have the King, which is the masculine, in Pentacles, which is money and resources, crossed by the feminine, inspired, for the people kind of energy. So there is a challenge between the masculine and the feminine in Russia, and Russia is very patriarchal for a motherland, right? It's Mother Russia, but it's sort of ruled by these very misogynistic, anti-gay, sort of traditional, like manly men, machissimo, in the Russian way. So within its own country, there is again a rising of the feminine, not very different from what we're experiencing here in America in the rising of the feminine. It's just a different way. It's going to express itself in a different way because it's a little bit of a different situation. Okay, let's see what's at the root of this. Dissatisfaction. So there's dissatisfaction all around. I know the people are dissatisfied, but I think also, the idea of this reading was about Putin and Russia. And when you're dissatisfied, usually the leader of the country is the one who gets all the flack, whether it's deserved or not. And of course, in the case of Putin, I think it's probably deserved. But there is a dissatisfaction with the status quo here. Let's see what's in the past. In the past, we have the angel of healing and balance. Okay, so there was some sort of healing. There was a sense of the greatness of Russia rising again. I think that there definitely was that, and I think there was that hope in the past that would happen. Now, whether or not that has actually happened, that is in the past. Let's see what's in the sky. Okay, we have the Nine of Wands, and so this is a warrior who is willing to fight one more battle. So I think that this is Putin, and that he is ready to fight the battle. He's certainly not going to give up. And this guy's got all the kind of muscles and stuff, like Putin likes to show his muscles on the back of the horse and all that stuff. Okay, let's see what's in the immediate future for Russia. Oops. Oh no, I dropped it. Hold on 1 second. See if I can do this without falling over. I'm not in the right kind of chair here. All right. Okay, we have the three of Wands here. This is about waiting for your ship to come in. It's about hold on 1 second. Let me see. So these ships are sort of coming into port and coming into dock. So there is something that they're waiting for, something that they're, whether it's resources or something coming over water, reinforcements perhaps, commerce. They're working on communicating with others. And as far as I know, they are in communication with the Chinese. They are in communication with the North Koreans. But beyond that, I don't know if there's another country who's aligned with Russia. I mean, I guess you could say the Republicans in America, but not as a country, not like as a full born country. All right, let's see how this is seen from the outside. Judgment. So judgment is coming. So people are feeling as though they're coming to a point where decisions are going to be made. Judgment is going to, Vladimir Putin perhaps is going to be held to some sort of standard, and people are seeing that or feeling that coming. I certainly feel it, and I'm not that embroiled in Russia, in that I know what's really going on there. I mean, it's enough to barely keep up with what's going on here. And then in your own life, right, because we have all kinds of, things happening in our own lives. Last night I was up 4 times with my 99-year-old mother. So, you get these like little snippets of sleep, and then you try to put them all together to 8 hours, which never happens anyway, but say 6 hours of sleep, and it doesn't vibe because you're half in and half out all the time. So it's hard to hold all this information, and maybe it's better in that when you're doing this kind of work to feel, I'm not sure if it's better to know less or more with this stuff. Okay, the domestic situation of Russia, it's not good. They're not in a good place. I think they're looking, when the immediate future came up, they're waiting for resources. They're waiting for things to come in. I think that the people who pull the strings in Russia, which is not Putin, he also has puppet masters, are not getting the resources and the opportunities that they want. And of course, the people are suffering there too. It's not just that the people up top aren't getting it, but the people are. And Russia is a beautiful country, and there's a lot of riches, and a lot of history, but the people that are living there don't really get a chance to be part of that. Let's see the hopes and fears. Okay, we have the Queen of Swords. It's interesting. A feminine energy here coming in. I would think it's a fear, but I don't know who this person is. I don't know who this person is, or if it is a person. This is transformation. If it's not a person, it's a card of transformation. And decisions made and actions taken based on suffering. And so this could very well be they fear the people an uprising of the people from their suffering. See the outcome. We have the Ace of Wands, but it's reversed. And so there's some sort of something they want to start, new creative projects that gets aborted. Okay, let's see. We have the Queen of Cups. We have the Seven of Wands. And we have the Four of Pentacles. And so this is pretty much the same as everything I've said before, in that we have the feminine rising. We have, this is probably Putin. He still has the higher ground, but he's fighting off all comers. And then this Four of Pentacles is about holding on to the resources so tight that you are not allowing the new to come in. You're not allowing new opportunities to come in, and that could very well be what this reversed reverse Ace of Wands. Let's see what's underneath. Okay, so we have the Wheel of Fortune. And so there's going to be change. There's going to be change in Russia. There's going to be change in Putin's leadership. And it looks as though they are, I wouldn't say suffering from the same thing that many places are suffering from. It's the people are just tired, and a part of that is because a lot of what they're trying to do is they're trying to do it through the old energy, and the old energy is on its way out. The South Node in Capricorn is about letting go of all that stuff, that patriarchy stuff, whereas the North Node in Cancer is about, feeling our feelings and becoming more concerned with families and children and eating and survival. And so it's not just happening here, it's happening there as well. And so it looks like there's going to be a big shift in Russia. And I know I have watched Linda G for a while now, and she has said a couple of times that that this regime was going to pass, and then it was going to get good in Russia. It was going to be good, and they were going to be our friends. And I've always felt that, even back in the day when we had the Cold War, because I was born in '61, so I'm kind of a Cold War baby, really. It always felt to me that it wasn't the people, that we would really like the Russian people. I always felt a kinship to them, but of course not to the leaders. And the future is one where the people rise up and we find out what is common in both our experiences and our needs. And that is the future for us, and that is the future for Russia, and that is the future for the world. And so let's get there, folks. And, we're not in charge per se. We're only in charge of ourselves. So where you see the old ways of relating, of the old power over structures in your life, if you change them on an individual level, that does influence. Everything happens from the ground up. It's always grassroots. And you have to concentrate on what it is that you have power to change, and change it, and live in a world, in the new paradigm of cooperation. And maybe you already do that, but now it's time to spread that out a little bit further and support it in different ways, whether it's community action or just reaching out to somebody who you've broken off from because of some sort of patriarchal power over dynamic that sort of broke that relationship apart. Maybe it's time to reconnect and come together and make this world a better place by figuring out what it is that we have in common with each other, with our neighbors, and with the Russians. Okay? Like and subscribe. Have a great day. I'll be back to do another reading, but it might be inside because I am sweating my buttocks off. Take care.